So the mighty Metropolitan Building was constructed in downtown Minneapolis and sadly torn down in the early 60s as part of urban renewal.
Its area used to be called the Skid Row of Minneapolis. I even have some relatives that had restaurants in there, so I remember hearing the stories. And the way they would solve it, if you erase the buildings, you erase the people.
When I was a little kid, I was lucky enough to have a mom who drove me through what now is the area where the Metropolitan was and said, remember all this because it'll be gone someday. But I always grew up with the idea that this one great part of town had the greatest building that had been torn down. It was a great tragedy.
So when I was very young, my mother took me to the building. The inside was startling. It was a light-filled atrium that went floor to ceiling, up all 12, 15 floors. The railings were wrought iron, the elevators were glass, the floor was glass blocks, and when the light would shine through, it was the most fantastic interior I've ever seen.
The fact that it was demolished in 1960 or so was really one of the worst acts of civic vandalism that we've ever incurred.
When the building was torn down, the stones were brought out here to Delano, Minnesota.
We intended on naturally grinding everything up that we had here. Obviously there's a lot of work entailed with the bigger ones getting them broke down to go through the crusher.
I immediately went out to the field and had one of the most magnificent moments of my life to see these extraordinary stones piled up in the middle of nowhere and so beautifully preserved. It was really my hope that we could bring them back to Minneapolis. And if you look at the pictures of the building, and there are many of them online, you can identify what stone went in which part of the building, and that's a fun little exercise.
We thought that we could possibly use these if we tore down an existing building that was on the property. It was a one-story block building, which we removed about a year ago, and then reconstructed. Instead of making that a parking lot, we really wanted to do something special, and as a result of that we thought let's recreate a plaza space, and let's, to the extent that we can, recreate the plaza that was on the rooftop of the Metropolitan Building, only on the ground floor on Nicollet Avenue. So we took the most ornate, intricately carved stones and placed them out there strategically and tried to create a really beautiful, amazing ambiance. So it was really truly a collaboration in every sense. We really worked with a number of great people on my team, and also Zoran and his group and Julie Snow, architects.
When Peter asked me first time about project, I got really excited.
Moving these stones is not easy. It's very dangerous work. It's very complex. It relies on huge, heavy equipment to get these things moved. There was a real sort of dynamic, creative tension that existed on the project. Things that we tried looked good on paper that didn't really work when they were fully realized.
Our process is editing and re-editing, and then creating and then editing.
Right.
Every day I would build the fountain, email to Peter, he would kind of say, no, try it again. Next day we would totally different shape.
It was quite incredible. Watching him heat up the stone and just chip away rock, and here we have benches and sculptures, and it's pretty incredible.
If you look across the whole Twin Cities landscape of Minneapolis-St. Paul, this is the only public space that's been developed by a private entity. Peter Remes came forward and said, I'm going to create a public space for the community use. So this is a real gift to the community in the region.
We need more Peter Remeses, developers that have an eye and an aesthetic that actually improves the communities, not just takes advantage of opportunities, but actually provides something in return to those who may not otherwise participate. And this is a perfect example of it.
We don't have a lot of this in the city, these small pocket parks where people can come together and gather, and I just think it's an incredible example to set for how we can think about designing in our city. So it's not just about density, but it's about the quality of spaces.
The new energy and new life that this brings into the whole intersection of 26th and Nicollet is just first rate.
It really makes an impact again on the neighborhood in itself, that people are able to use this space and enjoy this space without having to pay an admission fee.
It makes it a people place rather than a car place. It had been a parking lot, so a plaza is a huge improvement over a parking lot, and it's welcoming.
It blows my mind that that building was ever torn down, but at least we can have part of it to remember how amazing it was.
This is Minneapolis at its best because it represents every culture, and I think this is going to be one of the great blocks in our town.
We feel that Plaza is a great success, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. Love to do it all over again.
After 50, 60 years, these babies are back.
amazing blocks, and you think about cool places in America, this is not in Santa Fe, this is not in Portland, this is not in Brooklyn, this is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the coolest city in America. You're in the coolest block in Minneapolis. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, all you great people. Spend money here and make it even better.